Welcome to the Indie Beacon Show, where readers can discover great new books by indie authors. Your host for today's show is B. Alan Bourgeois. We hope you do enjoy today's show.
Hi, and welcome to another edition of the Indie Beacon Show. This is your host, B. Alan Bourgeois. Today I have with me Milli Mills. I'm sorry, let me try that one again. Yeah, Mills. Okay, Milli Mills. All right. I don't know why I was trying to add something in there. The joys of being able to edit.
Yes.
Hi, and welcome to another episode of the Indie Beacon Show. I am your host, B. Alan Bourgeois, and we appreciate you either watching or listening to the show. Today we have with us Milli Mills, who has quite an interesting past and future ahead of her, no doubt. And welcome, Milli.
Hi, thank you so much, Alan. Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited. It feels weird being on this side of the fence because I'm used to being the one asking the questions.
Exactly. I've been on your show and I appreciate what you did for me. And so now we're turning the tables and supporting you in this respect. So Milli, you have a long history with radio personality type stuff, but let's start with being a young little girl. You won an award. So let's start there and tell us what made you, or how did you win the award and what got you into the future, your present occupation?
Okay. Well, I've always had this great imagination, they say, when I was a kid, and I started dancing around the house at the age of 3. I listened to all types of music, pop, rock, R&B. And at the age of 7, my sister put me in a talent show because I was pretty good at freestyle, street dancing. And but I always had a knack for poetry. That's pretty much where it started. In high school, middle school. I was awarded outstanding performance in English because I was pretty creative in the area of English language arts. That's where it kind of began. That was a creative class where you had to write, come up with storylines, come up with poetries and skits and things like that. And by the time I reached high school, I really felt like, hey, acting, writing, poetry, all this kind of thing, that was me. And I was, I think it was 11th grade, I joined a club called the Beta Club. It was an honorary club, and I ended up writing a poem. It was like a spiritual poem I wrote about God. The greatest person whom I love is God Almighty from above. And my English, she was our English teacher and our typing teacher, Miss Della Maiton. She's very impressed with my poem that I wrote because I shared it with her, and she submitted it to the National Beta Club journal. They had like some kind of column that they would take entries on a monthly basis. So my poem was entered there at the age of 16. And once I saw that I had a knack for writing, I just, off and on all my life, I've been writing. And I'm so thankful for the whole blog thing because it really helps people like myself who do not just write full books on a day-to-day basis. But I do like, just blogs and journals or even doodle throughout the day. And if I have a thought, if I capture a moment, or if I hear someone else's thoughts, I will sometimes capture those. Like, I was listening to a song by John Mayer over the weekend on Spotify, and it's not like a brand new song by John. I love his music. This goes back to, I think, 2003 on the Continuum album. But I noticed some lyrics that I never heard before, Alan, and I captured those lyrics and I saved them in a safe place in case I need it later, just to help someone or just to inspire someone. Because that's a part of another thing that I do. I really like inspiring and giving back and helping others. And that's what I do through my writing as well. So,
well, actually, I want to talk about you giving back because you, through the process of your blogs and being a radio personality, you created Millhouse Entertainment, If I understood correctly, that started off as a business concept, but turned into a nonprofit. Is that correct?
That is correct, Alan. You are so right. In the beginning, I was trying to make it into a production company and maybe record label later. But the cost to get that off the ground just wasn't feasible at the time. But I still continue to offer advice and guidance to upcoming independent artists who were trying to get into the music industry, recording industry, and just didn't know how to get started. And at the time I was working in radio, and I had, a lot of connections to a lot of the record reps when they came into the office who were promoting some of the latest artists, from labels like Epic or Columbia, MCA, RCA Records. So I kind of had a knack just for helping artists, just kind of guiding the local artists who were trying to get their feet wet. And if it was no more than just getting them on a show, a local show that's in town and they just want to get exposed, or getting them some print in a local newspaper, and giving them that recognition or that spotlight that they deserve.
And to that extent, you've taken the nonprofit now, and you actually go into schools giving advice. So give us, is that restricted to the performing arts, or is there something else that you're adding into that as well?
Well, it's not exactly just restricted. It's a kind of open door, but I really want to give back to the youth. I know initially I was just helping independent artists, alike, but now as the company has grown, I learned when my daughter was singing years ago, she, we launched her career at the age of 15. She wrote her first song, Not the One for Me. And one of her peers or classmates, well, he was a year older, but when he heard that she had written a song and we were about to record it, he said, "Hey, Ramil," that's my daughter's name. He said, "Hey, Ramil, let me jump on the track, and do like an opening rap piece to open up the song." And, and we let him get on. His name is Kid Cam, and he's successful now. He's touring with a group called Cure for Paranoia. He's the lead man for the group. But it was when I noticed things like that, where there were so many youth that have, that type of talent and wanted to get into the industry and didn't know exactly how to get started. That's what made me target the youth to kind of help jumpstart their career path in the field of arts and entertainment.
Great. And through all of this, you ended up being a radio personality, which we'll get into more so in the next segment. But how did that, you've done so much. So how did the progress go to get you to become a radio personality?
Well, the radio personality part came really early while I was in college. I had a college internship at a local nearby radio station that was near the campus at the University of Arkansas, Pine Bluff. KYDE was an AM station. Before landing the radio internship, I had a TV internship, which was in Little Rock, Arkansas, which is like maybe 30, 40 minutes away from Pine Bluff. But Little Rock is the capital of Arkansas, so it's a nice sized city. And the number one news network was ABC KATV. So I had a chance to do an internship there, but for some reason it just, my passion wasn't there. And I knew this was a golden opportunity, but I kind of fumbled it. I didn't really take it and run with it like I should have, because I looked at the stories. A lot of the stories that they were capturing, they were kind of negative. And at that age, I just didn't have an interest for, going out grabbing the hottest story for news. That just didn't interest me. But the following semester, when I was given or landed the radio internship through one of our college instructors, Miss Broughton at the time, helped, put the whole internship opportunity together. the minute I walked in and I saw the turntables at the time, we used to have turntables instead, records were on vinyl, and just hearing the radio DJ at the time, hearing him behind the scenes with the headsets, oh my gosh, I was like, this is it. This is my calling here. And the music, hearing some of the, your favorite songs, and I loved it. And then the program director at the time, her name was Mary Nell Howard, rest in peace. But after I graduated, she gave me, extended the opportunity. If you want to stay on and work with us, I don't have anything full-time right now, but you're welcome to do part-time and fill-ins, which I did it for a while, a few months, and I had a full-time job working for the state of Arkansas. But it wasn't enough. I was like, I gotta go for more. I gotta go for more. And eventually I ended up landing a position at a station in West Helena, Arkansas, which was much closer to home for me. And from there, my radio career really took off and landed, opportunities in Memphis, Tennessee at some of the larger markets, and, the K97 and what are some of the other ones, FM 100, some of the big markets, 100,000 watt stations. And I think FM 100 is 300,000 watts. So that was like a dream come true to work at some of the larger markets. And then later on, I ended up going to ABC Radio Networks in 2002, which was owned by Disney at the time. And I had the opportunity to work weekends, syndicated. So, and
well, I understand the feeling of messing things up in your TV aspect. When I was 17, I was on KTLA in Los Angeles as a teenage host for a talk show, and didn't know the ins and outs of what to do and stuff. So I'm glad you're there helping the younger generation now to be able to use that energy, to have a place to go, to learn how to use it and work with the system and stuff like that, so they can be more successful. So I appreciate that. We are at that point where we do need to take a break for our sponsors, but we'll be right back.
Welcome to B4R.store, a bookstore for indie readers and indie authors, where indie authors can earn their fair share from the books you purchase. We have a wide variety of genres that you can select from. We also have ebooks and paperbacks. You can select authors by their first names, and we also have music. If you're interested in their city or country, we have that listed as well. If you are an author and would like to be on our bookstore, we have 3 options for you. There is a small minimal charge, or you can join our organization at authorsmarketing.org and learn how to better market and sell yourself. That is B4R.store, a bookstore for indie readers and indie authors.
Hi, I'm Charles Brakefield.
And I'm Rox Berkey.
Together, we write as Brakefield and Berkey.
Our techno thriller series is 12 books strong, with book 13, The Enigma Tracer, planned for 2022.
Techno thrillers are the cyber good guys versus today's darknet thugs.
We added our series prelude, Out of Poland, a 1939 historical novella, in 2021.
We also have 8 short stories available in family and women's contemporary genres, with more planned for 2022.
Please visit our website, enigmaseries.com, to learn more about why we say technology is today's weapon of choice. Thank you.
Welcome to the Indie Beacon Show, where readers can discover great new books by indie authors. Your host for today's show is B. Alan Bourgeois. We hope you do enjoy today's show.
Hi, and welcome back. This is your host, B. Alan Bourgeois. You are either watching or listening to the Indie Beacon Show, and we greatly appreciate it. Today, I have with me Milli Mills, and we appreciate her being with us. We were talking about her nonprofit, Millhouse Entertainment, but we're going to talk about her book at the moment. It is entitled, and I had it just here a second ago, there it is, On the Air with Milli Mills. And this is a book that I'm going to let her explain because it covers a long period of time. So Millie, if you would be kind enough to start with, why did you write this book?
Okay, Alan. Yes, I wrote the book to inspire others who are trying to, especially females, minorities who come from a challenging background as myself. I grew up in a very small town of about 1,300 people where big dreams they just didn't exist for many. So I was one who had all these ideas and big dreams. Growing up as a kid, I wanted to be a movie star. I wanted to be this, I want to be that. And I was like, oh gosh, you can't do any of that stuff here. How in the world are you going to do that? What are you talking about? It just sounds crazy to a lot of the, people in the community or my friends or peers. So my goal is to just instill that hope, never feel like you can't do anything just because the majority around you aren't doing it, just reach, try to reach and climb above and go forward. Reach out to others who are doing what it is that you want to do, even if you have to go through, now you got all the technology, so you can email people, you can go to websites and get information. You can attend, Zoom meetings such as this, or you can go to different conferences and seek out the help that you need. So that's what the book pretty much talks about, how I started in the industry back when technology wasn't what it is today. We didn't even know what a computer or cell phone, any of those things were. And, it just takes a little bit of courage to go for what you want and never give up. And, it talks about how at the time when I became a radio personality, it was more straight-laced. You had to be articulate and straight-laced as an announcer. But now, out there in the industry now, it's like anything goes. You can be more free, have a lot more edge for a lot more room of personality. And I notice now that there are more celebrity turned radio personalities than when we started. It wasn't that way. So a lot of the radio stations now look for, celebrities or individuals who already have a large following. That's who they are attracting now, so that they know they will be more guaranteed to get more listeners when they have someone, like a Steve Harvey that can be heard through syndication on their morning shows every morning, because why, they see him on TV. So he's already he has followers, versus if they just get someone locally that, a lot of people have not heard of, then they may not have as many listeners or a large listenership. So that's what I.
Yeah, you're definitely talking about the changes that you have seen and we have seen over the years. Like you were saying, the straight-laced aspect of being a radio personality. Now almost anyone can be a radio personality. I mean, podcasts, YouTube, all of it's out there. Even TikTok now is growing rapidly. A question for you, because knowing this and then having a book, the same thing applies. So what challenges are you seeing as an author that relates to you as a radio personality?
Oh, it's been tough for me to get back into the industry. I worked in radio shortly after college for about 25 years, but then around 2007, when we saw the change, when the internet, all of the internet stations and the podcast started to rise, a lot of us were cut out of our jobs, and we were replaced with the celebrity turn personalities, and with all these different opportunities to have a show through podcast. So with that said, I lost my thought.
Well, let me guide you back a little bit. Because what you're saying is exactly what we've been educating authors through our organization, is that you've got to have a following to build. Yeah. If you have none when you start off, you've got to build that following as you're going through the process in order to become successful. We don't blame the celebrities for branching out and growing their income and stuff. But that's what everybody's looking for, whether it's on the radio shows or publishing houses. You've got to have that following. So for you, even though you had the radio personality and you were out of it for a bit, how does that relate to you marketing and promoting your book, getting people to know about it?
Okay, well now how I promote my book is basically through my websites or different pages that I have, like Facebook. I have a page about it on Facebook, and I don't really promote it through my podcast show. I do have a podcast show, but I help, again, expose and promote others. But I reach out to people like yourself who showcase authors and, locally and abroad. I reach out to you guys to try to be a part of some of the events that you have going on. If there's I guess like a book fair, book festival, or if there's, a chance for me to be a participant as a vendor to sell my books, that's where I get in. And, if there's speaking opportunities, speaking engagements for authors, I look for those type of, opportunities. And that's pretty much how I stay relevant. Since I'm not in radio to have such a large following at this time. And then my podcast show is fairly new. I've only had it a little over, it's what's going in at 2 years. In July, it'll be exactly 2 years, but we're still growing and we're still promoting the show. So in the meantime, I'm just still on the grind, trying to promote my book through social media. That's basically how I do it.
You sound like me. You're helping everybody else promote their stuff, but you're not promoting yourself as much. Which is what I do. I help everybody else, just not my stuff. So
yeah,
that is a downfall for both of us, but we'll work on that. You come from a different perspective. Again, you're helping young people of all ages, all colors, all ethnic backgrounds to become more successful. And it's a challenge in itself because, the industry we're in, whether it's the publishing or the radio, constantly is changing. So how are you keeping up to date on all of this?
Staying on the internet, watching TikTok, watching Instagram, wherever I can get information. Like I saw earlier, it's a commercial ad running about Acast. Well, currently I'm using StreamYard for my podcast show, but I was like, hey, maybe I should try Acast, just not being afraid to try something different, looking, constantly looking for improvement, just trying to stay on that cutting edge so that you can remain competitive in this market.
Yeah, I totally agree with you on that one. You have to constantly be reading up on all the latest information because it is changing so much and stuff. And real quickly, I want to make sure everybody heard what the name of the book is, and which is On the Air with Milli Mills. It is available on all platforms, but we'll talk about that and social media in just a moment. But we are at that point. We need to stop, let our sponsors do their thing. We'll be right back.
Each and every one of us has a mission in life. Mine is to help people laugh through the good times and the bad. My name is Charlotte Canyon, and I am an author, a speaker, and a host on Indie Beacon Radio. If you need me to speak at an event or autograph my book, you can contact me at charlotte@charlottecanyon.com. Thank you, and have a blessed day.
Authors Marketing International, a membership-based organization where members learn how to better market and sell themselves. Join us at authorsmarketing.org. Welcome to the Indie Beacon Show, where readers can discover great new books by indie authors. Your host for today's show is B. Alan Bourgeois. We hope you do enjoy today's show.
Hi, and welcome back to the Indie Beacon Show. This is your host, B. Alan Bourgeois, and I greatly appreciate you either listening or watching one of our many shows. Today, we are talking with Milli Mills. I finally got the name right throughout the show. Sorry about that, Milli. Keep wanting to add extra letters in there, but she is the founder of Millhouse Entertainment. We just lost her. There she is. Okay. Technology, you gotta love it. She is the founder of Millhouse Entertainment, which is a nonprofit that supports youth and others in learning the business for both radio, music industry, and writing, because she is an author. First off, where can people find out more information if they want you to come and talk to their students? So let's start with your nonprofit. What's the website for that?
It's millhouseentertainment.com, millhouse.com. And of course, yes, you can Millhouse Entertainment, millhouse.com. Or you can just call us on the office line at 469-284-9922.
Right. And because of COVID, you weren't able to be into schools that much, but do you have any events getting scheduled for the rest of this year?
Well, we're working on a spring, maybe summer, since when the kids are out for the summer. We're working on the Art of the Arts Educational Youth Seminar. That's in the making. And we're at this time, we're soliciting panel members. If you want to serve on the panel of discussion, we're open to all different areas of the arts and entertainment field, career field. If you're a radio personality, or if you're a model, a dancer, a singer, or a record producer, or record label exec, get in touch with us. You can send me an email at Milli, Milli, Mills, Mills, at millhouseentertainment.com.
Okay. And your book is available in most all major bookstores, but it's also available on your website. Is that correct?
Yes, there's a link right there on the front of the homepage. You'll see the little book icon, and you click on it, and it'll take you straight to the Amazon page where you can order it.
Now, like you or like me, you're wearing a lot of hats and stuff. So are you finding any time to work a new book or a follow-up or anything of that nature?
No, I have an idea about a new book, but I just haven't started to put it down on paper yet. But it's in my head. It's right there. I can see it, and it has a great concept. It's kind of like a continuation of the first book that I made, but it takes you in a different direction. Starts out kind of like continuing.
And speaking of continuing, since you're still doing the podcast, we really didn't talk about what the title is and where people can hear it. So give us a brief rundown on that.
Okay, Bring It in the House. That's the name of the podcast show, where we bring everything in the house. We're putting the spotlight on musicians, entertainers, artists, and leaders. And that little acronym is MEAL. Get your meal, MEAL. Yeah, so we just welcome, and we try to spotlight musicians, entertainers, artists, and leaders who are up and rising and just, need to get some exposure. And that's what we do. We give them 30 minutes that's their platform to talk about and answer questions, and just let us know what all they have going on. Okay. It's every Saturday at 7:30. And it's through StreamYard, but you see it on Facebook and YouTube, and then it's heard on all the social media platforms like Spotify, iTunes, Apple, Google, Amazon, Audible, all of those. You can hear it there.
And as someone who's been on the show before, it's a fun, simple, easy show. It's a little challenging to be live because you can't go back and edit those mistakes that we have, but it keeps you on your toes and gets it going pretty quick. We are at that point where we've done our 30 minutes of the show. I thank you very much, Milli, for being with us, and we wish you the best of luck.
Thank you so much, Alan, for having me on. It's been great. Thanks again.
Thank you for watching the Indie Beacon Show, produced by B. Alan Bourgeois for the Authors Marketing International, LLC. Copyright 2022. Voiceover by B. Alan Bourgeois. If you would like to be a sponsor of the show, please contact us at authorsmarketing@outlook.com. If you would like to be on this show, it is free to authors. Simply fill out the form at indiebeacon.com. The music is provided by Happy Follows. The music is entitled